Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another video for the month of October. This time it is Intruder. I don't know where the actual case went to, but this is the special edition from Synapse Films. Now, Intruder is a slasher film from 1989. Originally it was going to be called Night Crew, and then the makers of the film worked with Charles Band. I think it was originally going to be released by Empire Pictures, but then Empire Pictures wasn't doing well, so he sold it to, I forget what studio. For some reason, I want to say Paramount, but it could have been another company. Which then they cut all the gore out and made it nonsensical. And then it was years later when finally the uncut version was released on DVD first, and then on this DVD Blu-ray. I don't know what happened to my Blu-ray. Oh well. At least I still have the film. But it's directed by Scott Spiegel, who co-wrote Evil Dead 2. I thought he did a really good job directing. And it takes place at a supermarket, which I thought was a cool location for a slasher film. Maybe because when I first saw this, I was working at a Target. This is back in the day. It was when I was in Texas, so it must have been around 2003, 2004 that I saw this, like somewhere around there. Because it was an older release where it was like all in red and it's like someone in shadow holding an axe. And I rented it at a store called Hastings, which I miss Hastings. I miss their website. Yeah, they screwed up once in a while, but they were cheap, affordable, had a plentiful amount for a selection. And then their store, going to it, was the best store I've ever been in. Like Hastings is the best store I've ever been in. Like my dream store. Because they had so many movies to rent, even a film like Intruder to rent on DVD. They even had like the Rambo cartoon on DVD for rent. That's how many movies they had to rent. And then a huge section in the middle for VHS to rent if you had VHS on this. And this is like in the 2000s, and they still had VHS to rent as well, shitload of DVDs. Then you had tons of CDs, and because people would also sell their stuff, so you can find a lot of deals, used as well as brand new. People sold movies to the store, so you find good deals on that. Magazines, man. Sorry, I'm going off track, but and that's how I first saw this. And because I worked stocking at Target, this is what a lot of these characters did. So I'm like, oh, I can relate. The trash compactor, I worked that, and the way it gets used on here was pretty gruesome. And yeah, I thought this was a film that, the directing wise, Scott Spiegel was a big fan of POVs in weird spots. So like, here's a POV of a shopping cart rolling by a character. Here's a POV of a person like inside a telephone, those old school phones where a person's talking, and we see from inside the phone. Like, here's a POV of like something rolling, and it's a guy riding a hook and kicking another person. Here's the POV of the doorknob turning. So you see the doorknob turning, and then we have the POV of the doorknob, so the camera goes like, and people think, oh, that's stupid. I love that stuff because it's different. It's someone who's like, let me fucking show off and do different weird angles and cuts. It makes it interesting. It makes it not boring. Not the same typical sit the camera there, people talk, maybe you move a camera every once in a while. Because the first time I'm like, oh, I wonder what the hell's going to happen next. This is like a shot where a woman's sweeping. The camera is under, so as she's sweeping stuff, the stuff goes by, and as it goes by, it's a scene transition. That's what I like that stuff. So that mixed in with the location, which I thought was a fun location. I don't mind most of the score, at least the low-key, moody parts of the score. Once in a while, it's a little bit silly with the music, but sort of that very low, like the way the movie opens, and certain parts. I know the director didn't like the music. I think it's stuff they bought and then used, but I liked it. I liked the low-key, moody parts of the score. And then the gore is insane. Like, if you see the uncut version, it's one of the goriest slasher films, in my opinion. And it was the work of K&B, Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Berger. And man, the gore. You have a guy getting half his head crushed by a trash compactor. Just. You have a guy, one of those things that you slice meat with. They put the guy in, and it's like. And literally, you see all of this in the uncut version. From here to like here. That whole thing is cut off in half. It's like, oh shit, oh what the fuck, oh my god. The cast in the film, you have Renee Estevez, who was one of the stars of Sleepaway Camp 2. She's in this in a supporting role. They mention Bruce Campbell, but he's in it for a minute at the very end as a cop. Sam Raimi is one of the workers, as well as Ted Raimi. Sam Raimi gets killed by getting a hook right on his face slammed right into a hook. Hung there. Ted Raimi gets killed with a knife to the head. And again, some interesting things with the editing. Like Ted Raimi's chopping, and the camera pop up to his knife coming down. And then one moment pops to a knife, but it's actually the knife of the killer slamming into Sam Raimi's head. Ted Raimi's head, which also cuts his headphones in half. A guy gets stabbed, but it's a big enough knife that it goes through him and into the beer behind him, and the beer spills out. There's a guy that, I forget what it is. I said it in my review of Terror Train, but the stuff that you hold papers with, the needle. A guy gets an eye right in there. And then there's like a shot of the blood seeping over the light bulb, and then a shot of the ceiling where you see this river of blood from the lighting, like the shadow of the blood covering the light. That's what I mean. I like the way he directed this. It kept the movie going. I would say the best actor in the movie, I like Danny Hicks, who was the hillbilly guy in Evil Dead 2. He was the guy's like, Bobby Joe! Where are you, girl? Bobby Joe! He's in this. Which, granted, I would say this is a spoiler, but anytime, if you looked up the trailer to this film, if you looked up like one of the VHS tapes of this film, they all show who the killer is. So, like, the movie's trying to be a mystery, and almost every piece of marketing show who the killer is. And for those who don't want to know, I'll spoil it now, and then when I put this down, and in case people read lips, the killer of the film is Danny Hicks, which I thought he did a really good job, where he's like, I'm just crazy about this store. And like telling the story about a guy who's eating a burger in one hand and carrying a head of a body in the other. But Danny Hicks, I thought, had fun with the role. I thought he was entertaining. But yeah, the way certain parts were shot, like angles, when you start stuff, or whenever you go to a store, you may notice that sometimes there's like a mirror up top. I think sometimes they put mirrors in those because once in a while you'll have like cameras there to show if people are put stuff down their pants. But there's a mirror, and we don't see the two people talking just face to face. It's based on the reflection of the mirror up top. That's what I mean. I like this. Like, you know what? How do we make this scene more interesting, visual wise? Because it is a visual medium when you're watching a movie. It's like, okay, how Sasha film in a grocery store. How do we make it intriguing and not boring? This is a way to do it. You know, insane over the top gore, well done by K&B, interesting shots and POV shots, and a fun performance by the killer. I will say there's two flaws for me that hurt the film quite a bit. One is the cast of characters are not the best. People are like, really? Characters in a slasher film? Yeah, really like Jamie Lee Curtis in Terror Train. You know, I liked all the characters in April Fool's Day, which I have over there from 1986. Heather Langenkamp and Johnny Depp and Nick Corey and the first Elm Street. You know, Lisa Wilcox and the guy who plays her brother in Elm Street 4. I like the characters in My Bloody Valentine from 1981. And I didn't mind the little love triangle thing they had going between Axel and, was it TJ? But here, like Renee, well, she's not the lead. I'm thinking of Sleepaway Camp too. Like the lead girl is I forget the actress's name. The other characters are and that's one of the problems. The characters are I wish the characters or actors were better. Other than Danny Hitch, I liked him. Also, the ending I think sucks. And again, I still like the movie. I like the fun, gory kills and the effects by K&B. I like some of the moody parts of the music. I like some of the shots that show the lighting inside the grocery store. I think is really solid. Sort of creepy, low-key lighting. Again, all the crazy POV shots are fun to watch. He also did that when he directed From Dusk Till Dawn 2 with Robert Patrick. That's one of the reasons why I like From Dusk Till Dawn 2. I like Robert Patrick in the lead, and I like all the crazy shots he has. It makes it a bit more interesting, more creative. I appreciate that. I wish more directors did that. Because there's only so many times you have the same static shot. Be creative. Be unique. But the ending, okay, spoiler. The girl and this guy who's been a complete dickhead for the entire movie, so there's no reason to root for this guy in this leather jacket. He's a fucking asshole. Didn't care if he lived or died, because he's just a fucking creep who likes to beat on women. But yet he's one of our heroes now. Okay, bullshit. She's fighting Danny Hicks in a phone booth. Gets a meat cleaver between his fingers. The guy stabs the shit out of him. The guy and the girl get out of there, but then they're stopped by cops. And Danny Hicks tells the cops, they did it. Danny's eyes opens and the girl screams while being arrested. So I guess these two who are innocent, they're going to be arrested for the murders. And Danny Hicks, who's alive, he's going to go in the hospital and be there for Intruder 2, which never happened. It's a lame ending, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth, and it drops the movie a couple notches. They should have had a balls out ending where, I don't know, they crush his entire body in the trash compactor, or if they did something else. For me, if you had a better ending that wasn't a sequel bait ending, or in a way it's a downbeat ending, and you had better characters, better lead, I would prefer a different lead. Like if you had an Amy Steele or Heather Langenkamp or Lisa Wilcox type as a lead? Or again, does it always have to be a lady? Can't it be a guy? Why can't it be a guy as a lead and make it a little bit different? There's not many slasher films that have a guy as a lead. Like, do something a little bit unique. That and the ending, if those two things were fixed, I would call this one of my favorite slasher films of all time. As it is, I still like the film. I still think it's a pretty damn decent slasher flick for the visual directing touches, the mood, atmosphere, lighting, and the idea of using a supermarket as a location, and the crazy gore. If you're a slasher film, it's worth a look for those three things alone. For those, well, that's more than three, but those alone, this is worth a look. And this does have, a decent commentary with Scott Spiegel, and the producer is Lawrence Bender, who had worked with Quentin Tarantino on quite a few projects like Pulp Fiction, among others. And it has a 40-minute making of, pretty lengthy. So it has good features from the Synapse. And it's not that long a film, it's under 90 minutes. So yeah, if you're a fan of slasher films, Intruder is worth one watch. And to me, I like the film, so it's worth multiple watches. Has a couple issues, but overall, great gore, great directing, visual notices, and cool location. So that's my thoughts and my review of Intruder from 1989. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.